What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live with Michael Williams. I am the aforementioned Michael Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be back with another edition of the show. The last episode, we were in Orlando for the PGA Merchandise Show. It was so much fun to see all your friends, new and old, from the industry, to see all of your smiling faces and really get so amped up about what's coming in 2022. 2021 had its challenges, of course, but it was an amazing year for golf. 2022 is going to be much the same, I trust. I'm really excited about our guest for this episode. So a lot of you know that I was in golf course management myself. That's how I got into the game. And we were at public golf courses that in our busiest year, when we counted 9-hole rounds, we did over 200,000 rounds at a 36-hole facility. Yes, I have that on record. It is true. And I always say that the incident reports, if you took 1 year of incident reports, you could have 6 seasons in a movie that came out of them, okay? Stuff happens. And if anybody knows that for sure, it's you, the golf course owners. So when things do happen, and I'm constantly, reminded of things like that make me smile and some that make me shudder, you have to have somewhere to turn to. And our next guest is that guy. He is the founder and editor of Golf Dispute Resolution. Please welcome to the show, Rob Harris. Rob, thanks so much for coming. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Michael. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. And, I am fascinated by this. I went through and took a look at Golf Dispute Resolution, and it's become maybe my new favorite website. I mean, I'm going through it just for entertainment value alone and flashbacks. It's really something to see the types of things that golf course owners are dealing with. And I always think of the mayhem guy, the insurance guy. And I think that guy is definitely a golfer, because some of the things that you see, right, are just, you could make commercials and movies out of them. It's astonishing. So I have to ask you to start off with, give me a little bit of your background and how did you start Golf Dispute Resolution?
I've been an attorney for 4 decades now, and a golfer for many years longer than that.
Wow.
And about 20 years ago, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write a book about legal cases and issues that pertain to golf? And I started gathering those, but was too busy raising my children and never got around to it. And someone beat me to the punch and wrote a little book about that. But by that point, new technology had come along, something called the internet and blogs. And I thought maybe it'd be fun to start this frolic and detour. And I did it almost 11 years ago. And with greater or lesser diligence based on my other work, I managed to post and find no shortage of interesting golf-related stories that have legal issues.
Well, I think it's just fascinating, the work that you do. And I'm so excited to talk to you. So many questions. And we only have a few minutes, so I'm going to try to pack a lot into a short period of time. So you got started with this. And, as I said, I was in the golf course business and saw a lot of different things, a lot of different issues. And I think there's certain categories. You have the alcohol related incidents. We had the injury. We didn't have membership issues because we were public, but I know there's a lot of that. There's property. Do you see that these issues sort of break down into sort of particular categories for most golf course owners?
You are putting your finger where it should be, because especially if you take a look from a legal analysis, they do fall into umbrella categories. And one are certainly membership issues or contractual issues between members or users of the facility, some who want to get out of membership agreements, others who want to stay in. You find a variety of injuries, people who may have golf carts that overturn, golf balls that go sailing from a golf course into adjoining neighborhoods. The alcohol issue at the bar in the 19th hole is a recurring issue. And then you've got, I think you used the phrase, stuff happens. You've got the odd ones that pop up. That you can't predict any one individual, and with certainty, you just know that somewhere along the line there will be something.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that can happen. Again, you sort of broke it down into the categories that I definitely saw. And let's take a look at a couple of those cases and get a little bit specific. So I was looking at your site and saw, for example, a membership issue where you have, say, I think it was a couple that had assumed that they were going to be renewed for their membership, had actually sent in their fees and thought that they were following all the rules. And then there was a dispute because the club said that, well, no, in fact, you're not being invited as members. Your membership isn't valid. If you remember that case, you can sort of walk me through that and how that represents a sort of a more typical thing that happens.
I do remember that case, and I'll answer your question, but then I'll broaden it a little bit. I did some follow-up with respect to that case to see where things are going, and that's sometimes a limitation on the blog because we're only taking snapshots, but also as the litigation process plays out, you can see how things follow up. And you summarized it correctly. There was a couple that had sent in their renewal check even. And then all of a sudden we're told that they were no longer going to be there, that the club is no longer taking non-resident members. And I looked today and the club has filed a response moving to dismiss the case. And the articulated reason is that the club merged into a local homeowners association. And therefore, their position is that only members of that homeowners association can continue their membership with the club. And a court will have to unravel that, both in terms of homeownership documentation and whatever the contractual rights are that this particular couple had with respect to the club. So one of the things you learn as a lawyer generally, and certainly with respect to this, is that there are multiple sides to a story. And until it plays out, you're really not quite sure where it's going to happen. In terms of broadening your question, I've also encountered within the last year or so incidents where individuals had been asked to absent themselves from a club due to behavioral issues. In fact, I received a call within the last couple of weeks from some individual who apparently incurred the wrath of a club by going into a neighborhood social media group and complaining a bit about the increase in fees. And the next thing he knew, the club was disavowing him as a member going forward. He was really upset about that and wondering what his legal rights might be. As you said, these things do fall into categories, and that certainly is one of them. And the flip side of this with respect to some clubs is people who have been members who want to exit from the club. And because of club bylaws, clubs are not letting people leave until they have someone to come in and replace them. And so the waiting lists, especially maybe, right after the economic problems of 10 years ago, were extreme. The waiting lists were very long, and people were realizing by the time their name was reached and they'd be able to get their initiation fee back, they'd be long absent from the living. And so those kinds of cases came up as well.
Again, money, these contractual issues, certainly, in a litigious society, we see a lot of people wanting to take a stand and let's go to court and, as they say, draw your lawyer like a gun. And that happens so often. When you have contractual things, it's one thing, but we have these sort of, let's say, behavioral issues, that are, some of them are alcohol related, can really get serious, and maybe even, law enforcement is called in. I think you had one that was sort of particularly wild where there was an on-course argument that escalated, and there was some serious bodily harm that was done, including, I think, someone's finger was actually bitten off.
That's what was reported, and that's what I wrote about. And that falls, I think, under the category of stuff happens, because it's not the kind of thing that a club would ordinarily anticipate. I do note that in the complaint that was filed, and multiple defendants were brought in, but the club was also named as a defendant.
And this is kind of my question. Why is the club even held accountable when people get into an argument and there's bodily harm? Isn't that between the two people? Why is the club involved?
Well, there's a why and a why. The cynic, and the real reason the club is there is because the club presumably has an insurance policy to contribute toward a settlement if the lawyers can come up with a legal theory that would justify the club being named.
So just going after the deepest pockets is one thing.
Yeah, or multiple pockets. And in this particular case, as I recall, the argument was the the biter was known apparently, so they argued, to the club as being a potential troublemaker. And they nonetheless let him participate in this event. It was some kind of outing or tournament or something. And so that was what was being argued.
That's again just crazy stuff when you think about an argument just among grown-ups, escalating to that sort of thing. You hate to see that happen, but one of the other things that you see is, and we had so many incidents mentioning golf cart incidents, and I know that there are like a measurable number of fatalities that occur every year, which is sad and horrible, but it's the fact of the matter. And golf courses rely on the golf carts. I imagine you've seen your share of golf cart disputes in this category too. Yes.
Those certainly come up, and again, I'll broaden your question a little bit. It's not just golf carts, but it's other kinds of injuries that often are alleged to have to do with golf course maintenance. In the cart situation, they may say that the cart paths are not designed appropriately, or leaves weren't removed, creating a slippery condition, or signage was such that people were directed or permitted to go into unsafe slope areas. And apart from the cart issue, people who are injured on golf courses, and look, people trip, there are going to be holes, there are going to be rocks, will also make arguments that the course, if it had exercised appropriate maintenance or supervision or sometimes design, would have, could have, and should have prevented those accidents from happening.
Wow. So I'm going to give you a couple of hypotheticals, and you tell me if golf courses need to protect themselves against these sorts of things. Golf course design, as you know, becomes more and more competitive, and people are looking for those things that excite the eye and challenge the golfer. So you have people who have these large flash bunkers that have steep sides. Someone gets into a bunker, tries to hit out of a lie that's rather steep, falls over, injures himself. Is the course responsible because of an irresponsible, air quotes, course design feature?
A course will be responsible if a jury decides it's responsible. It's the nature of the legal system. If there's a negligence standard involved, negligence under the law is what is reasonable under the circumstances. And when you've got 6 or 10 or 12 people, whatever the jury size is based on the particular state, deciding that, you can never be sure. And so the counter argument is always, of course, look, the feature of our golf course is our bunkers. We just had a big bunker redesign, and people knew what they were doing, and they've assumed the risk, and it's inherent in the sport. And so those arguments get made, they get fleshed out. And the two takeaways from that are, number one, is often parties are well served to try and resolve their dispute through mediation or negotiation, something that I spend a fair amount of time in my professional life doing to try and help parties resolve that. And second, insurance. You made a joke about the insurance carrier, but he or she may be getting big insurance premiums from this, but it's a service that all golf course owners need.
It's great that you went there. It's exactly where I wanted to take you. Is what can golf course owners do to keep themselves out of these situations? And I know I was responsible for signage, and I spent hour upon hour upon hour trying to create signs that would obviate us from these sorts of responsibilities. Hey, be careful of, or warning signs, or this sort of thing. There were all sorts of things. I know there's signage. You mentioned insurance. What else can people do? Should there be even a contract that's written out when someone goes out for a round of golf? Hey, you absorb all responsibility. If somebody hits into your foursome, not our fault. Don't come see us. Go see that.
There are courses that will do that. They'll have disclaimers on the back of whatever ticket or receipt you're getting. And those may or may not be enforceable or ultimately determinative. People go skiing all the time with very strong disclaimers, but that doesn't keep the lawsuits against the ski resorts from being filed that may often not succeed, but sometimes they do. Courses in terms of their basic design, you talked about the bunkers, but if you've got adjoining fairways, one going one direction and one the other, what features are in play to minimize the risk of errant shots hurting somebody? Are there trees? Are there bunkers in play to sort of keep that from happening? Courses that can find a few dollars in their budget to have experts in that area take a look periodically, especially if it hasn't been done in a long time, is perhaps money well spent. The real issue is you can have a policy that protects from negligence. You don't want to fall into a bucket where someone can argue that the course was more than negligent, was arguably reckless or willful because they ignored something that would be just so obvious. Yeah. And those get to the whole issue about design.
Well, I want people to have a way to get in touch with you. So give us some contact information. Where can we find you to talk to you when we need you?
Thanks for asking. I love it when people go to the site, and the best place is golfdisputeresolution.com. It's got my individual contact information there. There's also, for LinkedIn users, a LinkedIn page that's called Golf Dispute Resolution, and I post also on Twitter under Golf Disputes is the handle for that. So they're all places to see the posts, and people can find me from there.
Well, I got my fingers crossed and knocking on wood back here that nobody has any crazy incidents like that. But we know that, as you say, stuff happens. So things are going to be out there. When they do, you're going to be a great resource to help us out. Rob, thanks so much for spending the time. It's really, really been a pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully we get you back in again to talk sometime about some of the stuff that you've seen, because maybe me and you can finish that book together. Okay.
Thanks, Michael. I'd love to do that. Thanks.
You got it. That's Rob Harris, founder and editor of Golf Dispute Resolution. We'll take a quick break, come back with more. It's going to be a great show. And welcome back to Golf Business Live. I'm your host, Michael Williams. And as some of you know, I got started in the golf business as a golf course operator. I was working with a golf course management company with several golf courses here in the Washington, D.C. area. And one of the things I quickly learned was how important it was to understand what was going on in our business, to be able to understand where things were going well, where things were going wrong. And I'm old, so we didn't have that many systems available to us at that time. But there's so much technology now that really enables us to understand what's going on in our properties. And our next guest is someone who's been on the cutting edge of that and is leading us into the future about giving us tools to understand and to improve our businesses. He is the CEO of Club Caddie. Please welcome to Golf Business Live, Jason Pearsall. Jason, thanks so much for spending some time.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
And I'm always interested in telling the origin story, as I call it. You know, I got into golf sort of late and came in on the operations side. How did you get into golf? What was your entry point into golf? And how did you make the transition to starting and leading this great company, Club Caddie?
Yeah, so I started golf at a really young age. My father was a country club general manager, so I kind of grew up, around Muskegon Country Club in West Michigan, and then Pine River Country Club up in Alma, Michigan. I went to college, actually started a tech company, and we were fortunate to have an exit, and I went on to law school after that and practiced law for a few years. And what I wasn't doing was playing any golf at all, right? And I missed it. So I started to play a little bit more in the summer. This is, right after 2010. And basically, had a little money from that exit and had an opportunity to buy into a golf course. So we bought a golf course in Flint, Michigan, or in Flushing, Michigan specifically, back in 2014. And then as operators, as you described, we were trying to figure it out, but we didn't have technology solutions that would really, kind of make our job easy. So trying to reconcile revenue or figure out our accounting or even, keep track of different activities and events that were occurring at the course was really difficult. So having technology backgrounds and struggling ourselves as operators, we started building a cloud solution for golf courses that now today is Club Caddie.
And, when you look at Club Caddie, when I was in there, we had one of our courses where literally our point of sale system was the cash register that had a bell, it goes ding, when you push the button. Of course, we're a long way from there. Technology wise, where did you start off with Club Caddie and where are you now? Because it seems as though you are essentially giving the operator to have a real-time look at virtually everything they do on the golf course, at the golf property.
Yeah, So similarly, when we bought our golf course, we were all golf guys, right? And we wanted to run a pro shop and have a golf course, and we didn't realize that there was so much more to running a golf course than just selling golf services. At our facility, we had a sports bar and a banquet center and a pool and a driving range, and it was, really a full service operation. And so what kind of started to happen with technology is you had this point of sale that then became integrated with the tee sheet, and that was the first stages of golf course management systems. And a lot of golf courses are still running on their entire golf course on a system that was really built just for their golf shop, right? And so the new systems now, like Club Caddie, would include the food and beverage element and banquets and online events and membership, all managed within a single system. So I'd say that's kind of how systems have changed is now a lot of those automations and workflows that occurred in just the pro shop are occurring throughout the entire golf operation.
And you mentioned online. I know that you spoke at the GBC conference in Orlando, Florida. You spoke very eloquently about the opportunities to take your business online and understanding and making things available online. And you talked some about cloud-based systems. Now, for some operators, this may be something that just makes the eyes glaze over. Talk about taking businesses online, taking advantage of having online services available, and about cloud-based computing and what that means to the future, why it's important for operators to understand and embrace this technology.
Sure. So uh, golfers' demographics are starting to change, right? And in 2022, 80% of golfers would prefer and make their golf purchasing decisions online, right? So that's not just, buying golf clubs or buying merchandise, it's reserving tee times and equipment and lessons, right? And statistically, greater than 50% of those golfers actually prefer the online experience, right? So if you're a golf shop and you sell more than just tee times, you sell lessons and you sell, merchandise and equipment and fittings, and maybe you have simulators and a whole array of golf services, and all you do is sell your tee times online, and those buyers are going somewhere else to buy the services that they're looking for, right? So what a cloud-based system will do is it enables and it shares data using HTTPS or using the internet as opposed to a local server, right? And so that means that that data can be shared anywhere online. So that can mean, you can order food and beverage. So golfers can coming up the 8th hole or the 17th hole, can place a food and beverage order through their app, and that immediately goes to the system, and you can service them by the time that they come off the 18th hole, right? They're just things that using the internet to run your golf course, enables that the old server-based and legacy systems do not.
Mhm. And is conversion to these sorts of systems, is it cost prohibitive for the small to mid-size owner operator?
Yeah, so it's actually the opposite. Traditionally, when golf courses were starting to buy technology, it required for them to buy their own server, which was a large upfront investment. Today with the cloud-based systems, it's under a SaaS model. So in the same way that maybe you have like a premium LinkedIn program and you pay monthly for it, you would do the same with software. So it's a very similar monthly fee, but there's not a large upfront cost. Most golf course operators also, are not most, but many are still paying by barter, and the opportunity cost of barter is substantially more than a monthly fee that would be paid by most of the golf course management systems that are gaining market share today.
Well, that's interesting. We always like a proposition where we save money and make money by doing the right thing and advancing the technology. That's a great clarifying point there. I did a panel at GBC that talked about the challenges that owner operators are facing when it comes to the labor pool. And we all know what's happened in the last 18 to 24 months, and the idea that people want to have more time at home, or it's difficult to recruit, all these sorts of things. And I think we sort of overlapped because I noticed you spoke about how these cloud-based systems allow you to maybe ease some of your problems with having staff wanting to spend more time at home because this technology makes that possible. Talk a little bit about how labor and the cloud-based system sort of intersect to ease that labor problem for owner operators.
It's funny because I hear a lot of operators speaking about how the next generation of, upcoming operators or the kids that are coming up today are lazy. And I really don't think that that's the case at all. I think that the values or what they're looking for in work have changed, right? And so today, the workforce is looking for more flexible hours, and they're looking for the opportunity to work from home. And so, I look at a lot of the employees at Club Caddie. Our own team has kind of shifted to a mostly remote model, and I look at how many more hours our staff are working now that they can work from home, as opposed to when they used to come into the office, take a little while to get going, kind of work hard throughout the day, and then wind down and turn off their computers, right? I mean, now it is just nonstop. Whenever there's an opportunity, they work, right? And I think that similarly is what the golf workforce of today is looking for. They're willing to put in next year's rates, or they're willing to update inventory, or they're willing to and they can do that off a purchase order. They don't physically need to be there to always input inventory, or they can promote events, or do social media marketing, but they need the tools to do that. And so what a lot of the golf courses are doing is they have 30 or 40 programs, really. I mean, they have a Facebook tool, and they have their website is a separate login, and all of these different logins, and nobody, maybe one person knows how to use each tool. And when you're siloed like that, you can't really just send an operator home and say, go do this, because unless they have the tools to do that from home, they're not able to, right? And so, we really focus on building a one solution. They're able to log in one time. They don't need to log into more than one program, and they can run every aspect of the course, from the tee sheet to food and beverage to events to inventory, right?
Mm. And I had a look at the Club Caddie website and sort of took a look at what you offer, and it almost makes me want to buy a golf course just so I can implement some of these things and have another shot at what we were doing before. But it occurs to me that when you have a system like yours, it's almost like having a real-time MRI going on, for your facility. You can see what's going on. You can plan what's going on. You have a real monitor on the health of what's going on with your system. Just brag a little bit about Club Caddie and what you can do for the owner operator.
Well, at Club Caddie, our mission really is simple. We want to help golf operators make more money and make their lives more efficient. And, we started building the software. That was because we were making more money ourselves and making our lives more efficient by making these tools, right? So our visions have really been aligned. And, today, I think that in every aspect, in every operation or every function within a golf course, we've created opportunities to to collect revenue online, right? And so that helps golf courses make more money. And then every time that something comes in online, all the data is already into the system, which means the golf courses don't have to manually enter it twice, right? And so, our mission is aligned with operators to help them make more money, to make their lives easier. We do it, and we're doing it successfully.
And we just got a couple of minutes left with you, but I wanted to repeat a question or form a question based on a comment that you made again in your presentation in Orlando, when you said that many owner operators avoid making a change because they think that a change has to be a home run. And it's not necessarily the home runs, it's the singles and doubles that can add up to a home run. And it's good to look out for those opportunities, because little changes can make a big result. I thought that was so wise, just a lot of wisdom in that. Give me one or two of those little changes that operators can take a look at that will really add up to something big over time that you've seen.
Every operator has, most operators have golf outings. And at those golf outings, the original organizer assumes they're going to have 144 people that show up, and they way overestimate how many people are actually going to come. Right. By the time that last week comes and they give you their final head count, that might be, 80 people or 60 people less than you originally planned for. And that's potentially revenue that golf course is going to lose. Right. With a tool like Club Caddie, you can just promote, this outing open now to the public and accept registrations of 4 and fill that outing up. And so what we found out is greater than 70% of people who register online are really looking for today or tomorrow. And so when you can offer that as a last minute event, you can really help to fill in, those kind of empty registrations, or those lost tee time opportunities. That's one small example. Another is food and beverage, right? So, we mentioned earlier that golfers can order online or order from the 7th or 8th or 17th hole or 8th hole or 17th hole, right? And pick up those orders at the turn. Golf courses can also enable to-go orders, right? And so you have, oftentimes amazing restaurants that are serving way too few people. And so when you can open that restaurant up to the community around you, enable takeout orders, enable people who live near the course to place orders and even deliver it to them, it's just another way to make more off of the same and existing staff.
Well, Jason, I wasn't kidding. I mean, when I look at the capabilities that are out there and guys like you who offer so many new solutions for it, it really makes me want to get back into the operations business and take another shot at this thing, see if we can't do a little bit better. Where can people get in touch with you about your product and your information?
Yeah, you can visit us online at clubcaddie.com. I'm available at jason@clubcaddie.com.
Outstanding. My friend, thank you so much again for taking the time. And I have so many more questions. We'll do it on the golf course, okay? We'll do that extended interview on the golf course. How about that?
I look forward to it. Thanks, Michael.
Well, that's a great segment. What a great guest. So much information there. So much technology that's at our disposal. It's really encouraging, especially coming into this, what promises to be a great 2022 season. That's all for this edition of Golf Business Live with Michael Williams. Join us for the next one. We hope to see you there. Until then, Michael Williams, hit 'em straight.